up in Canada, all the hate mongers came out, and they were ostensibly like we need to protect the children from trans people, and
they called it the Million March for Children.
Yes,
and the numbers did not reach that.
The numbers did not reach that, and we should say there was anti-protests, or I should say counter-protests from like unions and from people who are not pieces of garbage. But
I mean, impressive to note that the unions organized against bigotry, because a lot of like the discourse about unions is that like actually that's a big problem.
No, we should just be focusing on just material issues, completely disconnected from trans rights. Those are segmented. Don't put those two things together. They seem to feel differently. And I should say too that the counter protests reports are that they far outnumbered the rest of these people.
I mean, that's the whole point of social justice unionism, right? Is like where you develop a sense of helping the community, and it strengthens both the union solidarity and the relationship between the community and the union.
Yeah,
and
because it turns out that these things are ways to divide, among other things, divide the working class.
Yeah, exactly. But this is really, really disturbing. I don't think we know who the speaker is. I mean, the guy. But I have a feeling he's sort of a well-known bigot up there. But here is, and one of the things that I think a lot of these bigots are doing is trying to look for religious fundamentalists of all stripes to attack LGBTQ people, because religious fundamentalists share a lot of the same ideology, if not, that it comes in a slightly different flavor. This is just so disturbing. And you can hear audience members, they're like, wait a second. Some of them, I think, are like, oh, maybe there is a problem with our protesting and spreading this hate. Maybe you can't contain this hate. And others are like, hey, don't let in on the fact that our hate is not just limited to a concern about children getting, stories read to them by trans people.
Just impose them and tell them what we want them to be. We listen to them, they tell us what they want to be, not whatever those guys accuse us of. What do you like to say?
I'd like to say that the gays are psychopaths and we're not psychopaths.
No. That's not true.
One more thing to say.
No, that's not good.
The gays, they are disgusting.
I mean, we talk about indoctrination.
Mm-hmm. That's what's amazing. They're all projecting on that front. Like
100%.
As they try to get a teacher fired in Texas for an Anne Frank lesson. They pretend that the left is the one that wants to indoctrinate. They are so obsessed, fixated with curating the kind of content for children that's going to reproduce their bigotry and their reactionary views of the world. And it's just this dread that they project onto everybody else.
But it's not even like, you don't even have to make the assertion as much as like, it's definitional. Like fundamentalism, these religious fundamentalists, and make no mistake about it. I mean, there may be secular types who think that trans people are icky. But all of this is religious fundamentalism. Sometimes it gets laundered down into, secular society because religious fundamentalism is such the bedrock of conservatism. But it is definitional. It's not a question of whether they're indoctrinating their children or not. That is the definition of fundamentalism. That it is only you accept doctrine, you take it without question. It is fundamentalism is essentially like authoritarianism training. It is indistinguishable from the patriarchy and authoritarianism and
The continuation.
and all of the sort of ideologies, like the you must comply to the patriarchal sense of gender and all of the implications associated with
Right.
that. It also is, and again, this is one of those things like where it's almost like definitional. It is the very nature of establishmentarianism. All of this sort of like this anti-trans bigotry, the anti-gay bigotry, the bigotry towards women or people of color, whatever form this takes, it is rooted in a sense that you do not question the hierarchy that has been established. And all of that comes from religious fundamentalism. I don't care what religion it is. I don't care if it's Judaism. I don't care if it's Christianity, Islam. It doesn't matter. That fundamentalism is what undergirds all of this. All of it.
Yeah, and that guy in the clip I found, his name is Mahmoud Mora. He is the head of a group in Calgary called YYC Muslims, which seemingly a group. They had an event where they were also opposing gender ideology in schools in front of Calgary City Hall in June, and he was also charged in June with a few accounts of harassment online, stemming from interactions he's had online.
Jordan Peterson's eyebrows raising like, oh, maybe Muslims are compatible with democracy. They act like this. But yeah, this
I
is
would
just
like to see more of that.
Yeah, this is just like the Scopes monkey trial people with a new thing. Like the what is a woman is just like, oh, you think we evolved from monkeys? It's just them being wrong in their fundamentalism about a factual point.
Reinforcing hierarchies through force, and that's what they do.
It's not so much the mother lode of bad ideas after all.